I'm waiting for him. Oh,
Oh.
sorry.
You're waiting for me? Well, here I am.
Ah, that's my wife talking to me. What am I doing?
I know, I know. Anyways, welcome once again to another edition of Learning Photography with Duck. As always, I am your host, Duck, and today we have episode 30, which should tell you that, here it is, we're getting to the end of the year. This should be closer to like 50, but I've been slacking this year. Either that or I just miscounted, which I won't be surprised. Anyway, we got some interesting stuff for you. First off, I just want to say, coming up on the 7th, so pretty quick, if you're interested in doing anything with learning how to use off-camera flash, doing a workshop with the Art League of New Britain exactly on that subject, which is off-camera flash with a nice little portable kit called a strobist kit. If you've never heard of the term strobist, it was something that was coined by, and I wish I could remember the guy's name, years ago. And it just refers to a lightweight kit where you're using a strobe, a light stand, and a portable modifier, usually like an umbrella or a small softbox. And that's pretty much it. And that's your lighting kit. It's lightweight, it's portable, you can take it on location, and you can create some interesting things with it. So anyway, that's coming up on the 7th. Okay. All right. So what are we doing today? A while back, I don't recall how far back, I did an episode where I featured a photographer by the name of Pep Ventosa. And if you don't remember, let me put this up. This is an example of some of his work. And it's very eye-catching, and a lot of people, went into, oh, how does he do that mode? Okay. And there's a lot of tutorials done by other people on how they think he did this, and he's dropped hints in the past. I don't think he's come out and said exactly what his process of creating these are, but you can kind of deduce a little bit. And let me, like, for example, one of the things that he said is that he'll take a photo of the subject, multiple photos. So in this case, what he did is he walked around a tree, kind of keeping the tree in the center of the frame, and he just took frames, and he'll take like up to like 150 frames, a ridiculous amount. And then he'll, using blend modes and things, he'll stack them. And he gets this really funky, kind of pseudo-intentional camera movement blur, but it really isn't. It's just he's layering different images, same subject at different angles. And it just creates that really, really cool effect. All right. He loves doing architectural photos, and you can see this one, it looks like he took it from the left side and from the right side of the bridge, keeping that central tower as the focal point of the image. And of course, there's a little bit of masking in order to really emphasize the main point of the subject. All right. So you can see here, these kind of like ghost images radiating outward. right? So you can see that there, that's the artifact of the different image layers that are creating all those angles. So you can see, and you can see it also in the angle of the guy wires for the bridge. And you can see they go off to the right here and they go off to the left here, which gives me the an idea of that he's taking it from both sides of the bridge, you know, the left and the right, because you have the guy wires coming left and right while maintaining that central composition for the bridge support, you know, and just trying to count those, you can see that there's uh, at least 50 images in there, you know. He's also been experimenting with this kind of like cubist arrangement, montage, uh, almost like a collage effect. All right, and again, just multiple images of the same scene, slightly different angles, slightly different focal lengths, you know, and he just assembles it into one unique image. Okay. Here's one of a carousel. Okay. Again, you know, walking around, he'll take a photo, take a half step to the right, take a photo, half step to the right, take a photo, and he'll do that, you know, depending on the subject all the way around. Here's the Sydney Opera House. Okay. I mean, by all means, this is not a crystal clear image, but you know exactly what it is. It's the Sydney Opera House, and it's been rendered in a very abstract way, but yet still being recognizable, you know? And I'm sure it takes hours to create these. All right. But because we really don't know, here's one with Big Ben, because we really don't know what the actual process is, we can only venture a guess. All right. And last time I broached this subject, I broached it with the idea of using opacity as the blending option, where you can see you're seeing through the different layers at different opacities, and then you can apply masks to those opacity layers and hide certain areas in order to make the background layer come forward to create a strong visual focal point. All right. Well, recently came across a different way of creating a similar effect. Okay. It's not quite what he uses, and you'll see what I mean once we get into this. But it's a fairly easy method of kind of replicating the feeling, I guess you can say, of this multi-angle, layered effect. Okay. And as a matter of fact, when you look at some of his architectural work, where you see that there's an element that is not in sharp focus, obviously. All right. So if you look at this, it's not in sharp focus, but the the jitter effect that this layering gives is not as strong where he wants your visual focus to be. All right, so he subdues the effect where he wants the eye to be, and then he really exaggerates it over in the outer edges. And you can tell that there are multiple exposures just by looking at, how the cars are overlapping each other, how the people on the sidewalk are just look like they're overlapping each other. Okay. So this is what we're going to do today, but we're going to cheat it, and we're going to do it just using a single image. Okay. So the technique that I'm going to discuss is how to take one photo, manipulate it to the point where you kind of get that multi-layered effect of something that's been taking at different positions, different times, and composited together. Okay, so sounds like something you guys be interested in. Yeah. All right. So I have here 3 different images. Okay. And we're going to start off with the flower image, simply because I think you can understand the process of this effect just by doing it here on this flower. Okay. And the thing is, the way it's kind of repeatable, you can probably even write an action to do it for you. Although putting it into an action kind of reduces the ability for you to do a certain amount of manipulation. But anyway, you'll see what I mean. All right, so we're going to start off with this flower, and I've already processed it here in Lightroom in order to make the flower stand out. And this is what it looked like before. This is what it looks like now. So you can see I just basically darkened the background, made the flower pop a little bit forward, and brought the detail out in obviously the center part of the flower. All right. So this is ready to go. So what we're going to do is we're just going to edit in Adobe Photoshop. All right. Or you can do Control or Option E. And it's going to do the same thing. It's just going to open up Photoshop, port it out to Photoshop, and now we are ready to go. Okay. All right. So here I have the image in Photoshop, and what we need to do is we need to create multiple layers. And I like to start with a minimum of 4 layers. Okay. The more layers that you put into this effect, the nicer, I guess, not necessarily nicer it looks, but the closer you get to that Pep Ventosa effect. All right. And so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take this and Control-Command J, which is the shortcut for creating additional layers. And I'm going to go ahead and make my 4 layers. Okay. And actually, let me just take this out and close it because we don't need it. Bring this up. There we go. That way you can see it a little bit better. Okay. All right. So I have 1, 2, 3, Control J, four layers. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off the eyeball, all right, the little eyeball on all but that first copy. Okay, so I'm taking those upper layers and just temporarily hiding them, all right? Then make sure that your first copied layer, make sure that is selected, okay? Make sure that's selected, okay? And all we're going to do is we're going to use the transform tool to warp the layer. Okay. What we want, because right now, if I were to just apply an opacity, you're not going to see a difference. All right, because this layer, as you can see, is right on top of the layer below it. Okay, so we need to modify it to a point where we can see some kind of change. Now, you don't have to add an opacity. All right, what we're going to do is we're going to add the blend mode at the very end. But for now, just to show you what I'm going to be doing, all right, and also you might want to do this until you get used to the process, because it will allow you to also pre-visualize what you're going to get. All right, just realize the final results are going to be a little bit different. Okay, so with the move tool selected, okay, and the layer you want to manipulate, you're going to see these points, all right, on each corner and halfway on each side. These are the control points, and you know that if you take that and you move it around, it's going to warp and stretch your image. Okay, so that's basically what we're going to do, but we're going to do it in a controlled way. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is I'm going to press and hold the control or the option key for you Mac people. And then when we go to the corner, you can see that it only moves that one corner. All right. It doesn't move any of the other corners. It's not scaling. It's not stretching. It's not scaling upward. Okay. But it is stretching it just from that one corner. So we're going to go out a bit of a way. All right. And let's bring the opacity down so we can see exactly what it does. All right. I got the opacity down about 60. So now you can see, let's zoom in. You can see that that warp has caused that layer to kind of expand. All right, our flower has expanded and is now creating this ghost image, because remember, I have the opacity set. It's creating this ghosting effect, all right, or this double exposure effect, I guess is a better description. Okay. All right. I'm going to leave the opacity on, but again, remember, we don't need the opacity on for the finished product. We're going to be taking it off, but I just want you to see it. Okay, I'm going to move up one layer. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and make that one unhidden by clicking on that little eyeball. All right, so just it's off, you turn it on. All right, let's bring the opacity down so we can see what we're going, okay? And we're just gonna go ahead and go to another corner, all right? Control, Command, and we're gonna stretch, okay? And you can see, all right, we're gonna go up one more and do the same thing. We're gonna click on the eyeball. I'm gonna come down to the lower right, Control, Command, stretch that down, okay? Let's bring the opacity so you can see what it looks like with all the others. All right, and so now you can see that we're getting this, this multi-layered ghosting effect going on. Okay, go up one, make that active. All right, let's bring the opacity, and I'm going to come down to the lower left and do the exact same thing. Where is it? Control, Command. Oops, not rotate. There we go. We want to stretch it out. Okay. All right. And if we wanted to, let's create two more. Control J, Command J, two more. All right. I'm gonna hide that one. I'm gonna bring the opacity again down. All right. And I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to grab the center at the top, or you can do the bottom. And using the Alt or Option. All right. And I'm just going to stretch it up a little bit. Okay. Go to the next one up, bring the opacity down, and I'm going to go to the side. And using the Alt or Option, I'm going to stretch. Oops, see, I did not click on the next layer up. Make sure you're on the layer you need to be. Alt or Option, and we're going to stretch it sideways. Okay. All right. So previously what we did is, we applied a opacity blend. All right, so that the lowest layer had like 90%, the next layer up had like 80%, the next layer up had 70%, and we kind of built up the effect that way. Okay. And then you just played around with the opacities until you got that kind of like Pep Ventosa style. But it takes a lot of back and forth trying to figure it all out. All right. So I found I didn't find it. It was I saw it on YouTube. Okay. We're going to bring the opacity up on all of these up to 100%. Okay. All right. Because what we've done is we warped all the layers. Okay. And you can see, if I turn that off, you can see how that one's warped that way. This one's warped that way. This one's warped that way. Okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to click on the top layer, shift, click on the bottom layer. So we're just going to take all the layers, and if we right click anywhere on that open area, what we want to do this is convert the whole stack into a smart object. Okay. All right. Now we can do what we need to do to apply the layer blend to the entire stack. And to do that, what we're going to do is come up here to our menu. All right. We're going to go to layer where it says smart objects. All right. Come down all the way to the bottom where it says stack mode. And what we're going to do is we're going to select the mean blend. Okay. And we're going to give it a second for it to do what it's got to do. And there we go. That's the effect in a nutshell. Okay. Now, the nice thing about this is because we are working with a smart layer group, a smart object group, we can click on that and it's going to bring us to that layer stack that we did. Okay. And if we wanted to reinforce like that center part, what I can do is I'm going to click on all those. Oh, no, can't do it. And I'm got to do it one at a time. I'm going to create a mask for all of these. Okay. Now, once you become familiar, you might want to do the masking. Oops. Make sure you go down. You might want to do the masking ahead of time. Because like I said, once you become familiar, you can kind of pre-visualize the results that you want to get. All right. So what I want to do is I want to emphasize the center of this flower. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a round brush. Where's my brushes? Let's go all the way. Soft round brush, one of the default brushes. I'm going to make it nice and large. Okay, so press and hold the Alt or Option key, and if you slide the mouse left or right, you're going to get the size, and if you go up and down, you're going to get the hardness. All right, so you have to press and hold the Alt or Option key. Okay, so we have our mask. Our masks are white, so we need to make sure that we have black as our foreground color. All right, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the opacity at about 50%. Okay, and I'm just going to brush right there on the center of all these layers. And what that's going to do, or actually I should start from the top one here. All right, is it allows the layer below to kind of pop through. All right, and I'm just putting 50% color, so I'm not completely erasing all of it. Okay, but just enough to make that center part of the flowers become a little bit more dominant. So if you remember with the, especially with the architectural photos, Pep kind of left that one strong visual element for your eye to go to. All right. And that's basically what I'm replicating here. All right. Okay, the other thing you can do if needed is that you can move these layers around, and if you want to, you can just make sure that they're all kind of lined up so that the center part of the flower is where you want them. Okay, so as soon as you go off, you can kind of see, and then you can just manipulate them into place as you see it. Okay. All right. Now there's a certain amount of experimentation that you can do with this process, obviously. Okay. There we go. That looks kind of neat. Okay. And then once you got it kind of where you want it, all we do is we just come up here. We close this layer, hit the X there. All right. It's going to ask you if you want to save the changes. We want to say yes. All right. We want to close the layer. We don't want to just click File Save because that's going to create a separate file. We want to just close it and use the yes to save. And it's going to bring us back to our original. And it's going to apply those changes that we made to that smart object stack. All right. Still processing, 49, 50%. All right. I'm working with full-size RAWs here. All right. If you want this to be a little bit more efficient, maybe resize your images, especially if all you're going to be doing is sharing on social media. You don't need to work with the full resolution. So step one might be to just, reduce the size. And there we go. Oh, and that looks terrible, doesn't it? I don't think my blend was smooth enough. Okay. All right. So anyway, that's the effect in a nutshell. All right. I'm going to go ahead and close this. We'll say no. All right. And we're going to go back to Lightroom. And let's try it with this one from Yale. Control Command E is the shortcut to open it up in Photoshop. And here we go. Okay. All right. And again, what we're going to do is we're going to create, let's create, again, the 6 layers. Now let's do 4. Control 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. Turn these off. All right. Actually, let's Control Shift. Let's turn these back on for a second. Let's go ahead and apply that opacity right off the bat. 60% seems to work. Okay. So those 4 layers that I just created now have opacity of 60%. Okay. Again, right now we can't see any effect because they're all stacked on top of each other. All right. Let's turn off the top 3. Select that first copy that we made. All right. And let's, no, zoomed in too much. Okay. And now previous, what I did is I just grabbed one corner at a time, but there's no reason why you can't just say, okay, I'm going to go to this corner. Oops, what happened? We're going to go to this corner and we're going to stretch this corner up. All right. And because I have the opacity, you can see, all right, what it's doing. All right. And maybe I'm going to take this bottom corner and we're going to stretch this bottom corner out as well. Okay. Going to go up 1, turn the eyeball on, and I'm going to go to the opposite corner. All right. And I'm going to stretch that one up. Okay. And go to the bottom opposite corner and stretch that one down. All right. Go up 1. Turn that on. All right. And then using the Alt key. All right. Let's just take it from the top and just stretch that up a little bit. Up and down. All right, go up 1, turn that one on, and go to the side and stretch that out a little bit. Okay. So this is where I mean by, you want to do at least a minimum of 4 layers, okay? So by doing 4 layers, if I grab the opposite corners, all right, and then the opposite sides, we can get a fairly decent one, all right? The other thing you can do, all right, let me just take and make one more copy, Control J, all right, I'm gonna put that all the way at the top. All right. I haven't applied a opacity here, but what I want you to see is if I press and hold the Alt or Option key and I grab it from the corner, all right, actually Alt or Option with the Shift key, all right, it allows us to scale it up and down, okay? Obviously, if we scale it down, we're going to see that edge. We're going to see the border, all right? But we can scale it up, all right? And we can scale it up a little bit, all right? Hit done. Control J, make a copy, all right? Alt Shift or Alt Option, scale it up a little bit more, okay? Hit Enter, okay? Let's apply some opacity, and you'll see that now we have kind of like this growing effect, okay? So all this is it's just giving us different perspectives and different sizes and different angles, which if you wanted to do it more in the Pep style, you would actually be doing this in camera, walking around, taking a step to the left, taking a step to the right, in order to optically, in camera, modify those angles, all right? What we're doing here with these images is we are artificially moving those angles, all right? Everybody follow that? Okay. All right, so now let's go ahead. I want to select all those and turn the opacity back to 100%. Okay. Oh, no, before I do that, this is where you might want to take a few minutes, all right, and say, okay, let me bring these down to the bottom of my stack here. All right, we might want to say, okay, while I have it here, let me make some adjustments so that, the part that I want, all right, let me zoom in here. The part that I want, which would be the center of this building, all right, I want that all to be, stacked so that they all lined up. All right. And, because we have opacity, we can kind of, sort of, I don't know how well it's coming across on the video, but I'm using that kind of like the top window as my guide. All right. Go down to the next one, move that around. It's getting a little bit more difficult to see. If you want, you can just turn off the opacities. All right. So that way you can see a little bit better. All right. That one. There you go. Oops. Let me turn that off. There's my next one. Move that into place. All right, move that one into place. There we go. All right, turn all those back on. Click the top, click the bottom, copies. We'll reset that opacity to 100%. Add that bottom layer, Control adds it. All right. So we've manipulated and we warped all our images, all our copies. You saw that, right? So now we're going to click on the top layer, shift click on the bottom layer so that they're all selected. We're going to right click, convert to smart object. It's going to compress them all into a single layer. Okay. And again, you can double click on that and it's going to take you back. All right. Let Let me go ahead and zoom out here. All right. So now with that compressed that compressed layer, we're going to go again to up here to layer. All right. Smart objects. All right. Which is about halfway down. Smart objects. Come down on that pop out to stack mode. Down to mean. You know, I haven't played around with the other ones, you know, but you can play around with them. Click on mean, give it a second, and there we go. We have our Pep Ventosa style, our Pep Ventosa style image. All right. Now, the other thing is, let me go ahead and if I wanted to edit in Photoshop, it's going to create another one. I can take this, bring it in, holding the shift key, drop it down. I can put it below. All right. And then if I apply a mask to this, all right, using my soft round brush, all right, maybe with opacity set at 10%, all right, black is my foreground color. I can then just kind of brush in, all right, and this is going to be a slightly better results. Okay, so now if we turn that off, turn it back on, all right, you can see that we're pulling our vision right into that. All right, and the nice thing is we can bring other elements like this walker here that I caught. All right. There we go. All right. That's looking pretty cool, right? Okay. Any questions so far? No? All right. Let's try one more. All right, I'm going to go ahead and close these out. I don't want to save that one. I do want to save this one. This one came out really, really nice. So saving it. Go back to Lightroom, and there's my saved image. All right. Let's do this one. Everybody recognizes this. This is a famous Brooklyn Bridge, taken from the area called Dumbo. And we can see the Empire State Building. I love this shot. Empire State Building through this lower part of the Brooklyn Bridge. If you're ever in that area, that's a shot you should have in your photo library. It's iconic, you know. Has it been done before? Oh yeah, there's nothing original about this friggin' image, you know, but it's my image. I took it. I was there. All right. Is it the same as everybody else's? Absolutely. But this is my image. It's not somebody else's image. Okay. So anyway, if you ever get a chance, you gotta get there. All right. Edit in Adobe Photoshop.
Oh, we go.
And here we go. Okay. Now, let me bring this in a little bit. Okay. Now, the goal, of course, is to create a variety of stuff, a variety of angles. All right. And I said the minimum you should have is at least 4. All right. With 4, so basically with 4, what you're doing is you're warping. Let's see if I can do this. All right. So that would be warp number 1, grabbing by the corners. Warp number 2 would be, again, grabbing these opposite corners. All right. Warp number 3. All right. And warp number 4. All right. So you can see with just 4 images, you are literally just got every possible orientation taken care of. Okay. Now, if we were to take this and divide it, all right. So instead of going in 2 opposite corners, we only do 1. All right. You can see that we would need, we would go start off at 4 images. We can go up to 8 images. Okay. All right. Now, this is just grabbing in by the corners and doing a stretch. All right. We can also grab the sides. All right. And do a skew. All right. And we can do the same thing with the tops and the bottoms. Hiding the bottom, but you get the thing. We can skew the image. All right. What else can we do? Well, we can rotate from the corners. We can rotate the image. All right. So now we've gone from 8 to even 16. 16 images. All right. And if we apply, well, the rotate, it's either left or right. So maybe not 16, maybe 14. All right. But you can see that just by isolating what we do to each frame, we can get multiple layers. All right. So just because, I'm showing you how to do this with 4 and 6 doesn't mean you can't go hog wild. All right. So let's see what we can do. All right. Let's do Control J. All right. We have our base layer. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to Control J. I'm going to try something I haven't tried before. All right. I'm just going to keep this here as my background layer. All right. I'm going to turn that off. All right. And then this will be our main layer. Okay. And everything else will be copy. Okay. Control J, main copy. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, we'll do 8. We did what, 6 last time? 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, we'll do 8. Okay. All right. The 2 previous examples, what I did is I set the opacity down to 60 just so you can see. All right. I'm not going to bother with the opacity this time simply because it just kind of stretches things out. So what we're going to do is we're just going to turn off everything but that first copy. Okay. So here, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to recolor this. All right. Just so you see that red one. All right. And then let me put green. Okay. So the green one is going to be one that we preserve and leave out of the stack. So that way we can use masks to kind of bring that background back in. Okay. This one in red, That's our main one that we're going to include in the stack, okay? That does not get manipulated, all right? Just so you guys know. All right. So now we are on to our first copy, all right? And what we're going to do is Control, Command. I'm going to go ahead and stretch that up. Go to the next one up, turn the eyeball on. I'm going to go ahead and go to this corner. All right, I'm going to go up one layer, turn that on. I'm going to come down to this bottom corner. Where are we? What the heck happened? I'm not clicking on the right spot. There we go. All right, go up one layer, turn that on, come down to the lower left, stretch that out. Okay. All right, go up one more, turn that on, and I'm going to stretch it in both directions. So Shift and Alt or Option. All right. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Just the Option. All right, and I'm going to stretch it a little bit to the side. Okay. Go up one, turn that on. I'm going to stretch it up and down. Oh, what did it do? It didn't stretch. Here we go. There we go. Okay. Go up one, turn that on. And in this case, what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to do a little bit of a rotate. Okay. And I don't know if you guys can see, but I'm getting a little peek through. I don't know if that's going to be that big of an issue, but we'll see. Go up one more, turn that on, and I'm going to rotate it the other way just a little bit. Okay. To be honest, I don't know if it'll work. I'm just experimenting. I'm guessing. I'm just winging it. Okay. All right. So we got all our layers skewed, manipulated, whatever you want to do. All right. The top, we ended up on our top layer. So now I'm going to scroll down, Shift. Come on, scroll down. Shift, click on that first layer, the original one there. Okay. And right click, convert to smart objects. Okay. Convert to smart objects. Okay. So now we have our smart object and we still have our original. So there's our original. There's our smart object. Okay. Okay. Now that we have our smart object, we're going to go again over to layer, smart objects, stack mode, mean. Give it a second, let it do what it's got to do, and there you go. Okay. And then now apply all right. Now, if you notice, because Pep actually walks around his subjects, the perspectives change drastically while the size does not. Okay. What we're doing here is because we're artificially doing it, we're stretching and we're pulling in different directions. We are changing the size. All right. So it's going to give us a slightly different effect. All right. So that's why I said if you can take multiple frames, use those. All right. But we're going to take this, we're going to apply a mask, a nice soft round brush. All right. 10%, black is our foreground color. want to bring in this area down here where the Empire State Building is. Okay. And maybe a little bit of this area here. All right. The nice thing about working on a layer mask is that if something doesn't work, you can always reverse it by painting it with white. Okay. And actually that doesn't look too bad. All right. So before, after. All right. Control-0, F. What do you think, guys? That looks pretty wild, right? Okay. Now, the other benefit of, oh, here, hold on. Let me get out of your way so you can appreciate it all. All right. Pay attention to the bottom where I was there with a photo group. So there were a bunch of other photographers, not only with our group, but there were other photo groups there. This is a very famous image to grab. So you're going to, anytime you go there, you will see other photographers there. All right. As well as, of course, the tourists. Okay. But because I'm using a single frame, it's the same crowd in each frame. All right. They're just getting warped and moved a little bit left and right, up and down, squeezed, stretched, whatever. The other benefit of taking multiple shots from that vantage point is that you're going to get different crowds, different people in that foreground because people are going to be moving around. If there's any vehicle traffic, you're going to get different vehicles in that foreground, which is going to make it a little bit more visually interesting than just seeing the same forms. All right, because if we look at this, okay. Here, let me undo that. Let me get a different color. All right. That person in the foreground, all right, it's making that very recognizable blob shape, okay? Because it's taking that form and stretching it, just the same as this form, just the same as this couple, and the same as that car, okay? So it makes it a little bit repetitive. If you take multiple shots, yeah, the parked cars, yeah, you're going to get that. But any passing through traffic, any people walking around, that's all going to change. And it's going to create a much different texture that's a little bit more pleasing. So just keep that in mind for when you try to replicate this. Okay? All right. Any questions on doing this using the smart layers or smart objects, taking all of it into, compacting all the layers into a smart object and then applying the mean blend mode to that layer? Any questions?
So if you're just saying, Doc, about taking different pictures or multiple images from different aspects, then when you bring them in and then bring them in as layers like this, but then stretch each of them individually.
Well, if you are physically changing your perspective, all right, and changing, maybe you have a zoom lens and you zoom in a little bit, zoom out a little bit. So the perspective changes. So not only is your position changing, but maybe your perspective changes. Okay. Then you don't need to do any of the warping because you're literally doing the warp manually by walking around. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So you won't need to. What I would suggest though is, all right, in this particular image here of the bridge, I shot the composition fairly tight. Okay. When you do this, by changing your position, shoot it a little looser. All right. Because as you walk around, all right, obviously you want using this as an example, you want the upright part of that bridge to be the focal point of your image. Okay. So you're going to make sure that as you step from left to right, okay, you're going to keep that upright part dead center. Okay. So now when you bring everything into Photoshop, all right, even though you tried your best to keep everything fairly much in the same part, all right, what you're going to notice is that the edges are going to be a little bit wonky. All right. So now let me double click and let me open up this stack and you'll see what I mean. Okay. See the edges, how these edges are not lined up. Okay. That's what you're going to get. All right. So what that means is you're then, after you do your effect, what you're then going to need to do is crop in a little bit to get rid of that funkiness in the edges. All right. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yes, it does.
Okay. All right. So shoot a little looser. All right. And you know what? You can try it out. I'm going to attempt to do, now that I understand this process a little bit better, I'm going to attempt recreating this with some landmarks downtown. I'm actually going to, I'll take my camera out and I'm going to photograph a couple of our landmarks from different angles, keeping that relative central, and it doesn't have to be central position. All right. In this particular case, yes, I have the bridge in the center position. But if you look at Pep Ventosa's stuff, all right, so if we go back to here, all right, for example, where's the one of Parliament? All right. Okay, well, here you can see the Arc de Triomphe he kept pretty central, all right? But where's the one? Did I miss it? Where's the one of Parliament? Parliament. Oh, here it is, way over here. Okay. It's not in the center. Okay. He put it, in following the rule of thirds. Okay. He put it right in this area. Okay. So in your screen, you have that rule of thirds grid, right? Okay. So make sure that as you are photographing, you're walking around, whatever you identify as your, what you want to be your focal point, and if you place it in that thirds position, make sure that every frame you take puts that in that thirds position. Okay? That way, when it comes to line everything up, you're not going to have one photo where the tower is here, all right? And now you have to take that whole image and slide it over this way, which is going to create this edge to now be within the your image area. And then now you have to crop all that out because you didn't give it enough breathing room. Okay. All right. So shoot loose, maintain your focal point in the relative area and within your view screen, and you'll be good to go. Okay. Obviously, you can see that images where there's a little bit more contrast work really, really well. Like this one of Big Ben and Parliament work really well because he shot it against a bright sky. All right. So we have that contrast of building against sky, all right, that allows us to really, really make out what it is, even though he's applying this technique. Okay. All right. But again, you can get as creative and as abstract as you want. All right. The subject here is the carousel. It's a circle. You can walk 360 degrees around this object. All right. And it's going to create that funky background. You can see, all right, if we look, you can see part of the building here. All right. This building might be this building here. All right. And what he did is he made sure that as he was photographing it, okay, he maintained this distance and that central position every time he framed the carousel. All right. Or at least, if not, he resized it in post so that they all fit relatively. Because if you look at the base pretty much, because the detail around the base is consistent. There's nothing there to create a different look. You can see how uniform that lower part is. Okay. Where you get the visual cacophony is like with the carousel horses or the carousel animals, all right, that are just they're moving around. They're moving around. He's moving around. All right. And in the end, it just creates this wonderful texture. All right. And that's what he's going for. It's this beautiful texture. But on top of the texture, he is trying to maintain the core form of his subject. Okay. So it's not about the details. The details get lost in all that texture, but it's about the silhouette of the subject. It's the silhouetted form, the core form of the subject that makes it readily identifiable. Okay. That's why the carousel works so well. It is very identifiable. That's why Big Ben works so well. It's very identifiable. That's why the San Francisco Bridge works so well. It's very identifiable. Okay. Even even a space like this. All right. And you can see here how he manipulated the center part to be around this image right here. All right. Notice how it is in relative focus compared to everything else. Okay. He used that as his point of visual focus. All right. Not optical focus, visual focus. What our eyes look at. Okay. And he probably used some masking to, help bring that out. But if you maintain that as your reference point, when you take all the different angles, moving left to right, up and down, whatever it is you want to do, okay? If you maintain that as the point of where you want to drive the viewer's eye, when it comes to assembling it, it makes it that much stronger. All right. Hopefully that made sense. But if you get a chance, go to his website, pepventosa.com. All right. Pep Ventosa. And take a look at his work. Break it down, analyze it. All right. Try to figure out, okay, how far did he walk? All right. Obviously, he's not directly underneath this view of the actually not the Brooklyn Bridge, the Manhattan Bridge. I'm sorry, Manhattan Bridge. Okay, that's the Brooklyn Bridge in the background. This is the Manhattan Bridge. He's standing around the corner from where I was. All right, and he just walked. Oh, I don't know, maybe 50, 100 feet total. Okay. And he took, oh Christ, maybe 50 photos, 40 photos, who knows? All right. So take a look at his images. All right. Here's this one. Okay. He pretty much probably just walked around his post. All right. How can I? Actually, he probably just took this post from two sides. All right. The reason I can say that is because there is a ghost image of some kind of structure or building here. All right. And then there's another building here. All right. And you can see that the what do you call it? The vanishing point lines coming in. All right. While this one is just kind of horizontal. All right. And actually, there's a ghost of an image there. All right. So that's probably one image looking at it from, let's say, the north. And this building here is probably looking at it from the south. All right. And what we get is this uniform look to the light post. And what's different is all the background stuff. Again, a very strong, very recognizable silhouette. Okay. All right. So yeah, I give it a shot. Some of these even look like he may have applied a layer over the top. All right. I think I noticed that in this one here. But I could be wrong. Okay. He may have applied a layer over everything. Or it could be just, that's just artifacts from the process.
That one from the 8 Bridge one there, it looks like the cloud looks like a tree or something that didn't really belong there. no matter what angle you're at.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. There will be variables that just, play into the whole effect, you know. And then again, the thing is you can play around with masking to remove certain areas. All right. Here's another one where he's playing around with that kind of collage effect. You can see that, some colors are a little bit muted, some, or no, this is warmer, this is cooler. Okay. Maybe the exposure is a little different here. All right. And there's definitely some perspective shift. You can see that this half of the rock is a little bit different from the other half of the rock. All right. So there's something else that you can play around with. All right. All right. But anyways, I just wanted to revisit this because, like I said, I found a neater way of creating the effect. And hopefully you found it fairly easy to replicate. I love that one. So, all right.
Two quick questions about how he might have proceeded. Back to the carousel there.
Yep.
With the three distinct. When he does that kind of stuff, when he's walking around, it seemed like there would be two challenges. One, to make sure that, in that case, the pinnacle of the carousel stayed exactly the same. And you wonder if he actually draws on makes a mark on his, where he's looking through his camera. Or then you got to make sure that you're probably exactly the same amount of feet away from that thing when you're walking around. Thing, you tend to go in, go out. I think that would be some of the challenge. He's probably out there with a rope or something.
No, I, you know what? It's not that difficult to gauge distances once you get used to it. Especially if you use your viewfinder as a reference. I don't know, maybe he's using a viewfinder that instead of being a grid of 6, he's using a grid of 10, a much smaller squares. He may even be doing this with live view, because live view you can pick different overlays to use.
Oh.
All right. So if he's using live view, then he can get a finer grid and then use that grid and say, okay, 2 blocks in is going to be my margins on the left and right, or 1 block in, whatever it is. All right. And then, of course, you have that center line that you can use to line up your center position. So, again, without hearing it straight from his mouth, it's all kind of speculation. But if we put a little thought into it, we can kind of, come up with our own way of doing it. So anyway, give it a try. Find a landmark, find, a building, a statue, a fountain in the town square, a gazebo. Who knows? And give it a shot. See what you come up with. I'd love to see what you guys come up with. All right. Anyway, that's pretty much what I got for you for today.
All right.
Hopefully everybody had a good Thanksgiving, or what I like to call is Diet Amnesty Day. That's because the diets go out the window. I'll be eating leftovers for a while. I'm still working through leftovers. We had our Thanksgiving celebration on Saturday. because you know how families are, one family member likes to hogs the actual date. So everybody else, wants to see other family members. They got to do the travel dance. So rather than doing the travel dance, we just said, you know what? You guys do what you got to do with your families on Thanksgiving. We're doing ours on Saturday, and we got the family together for that. And it worked out beautifully. But anyway, I came home with a stack of food like this that I'm making my way through. So, all right, guys. That's it for today. We'll see you all next week. If you have any crazy stuff like this that you want to do, let me know. Maybe next week we'll get back into working with textures. All right, adding textures. So we'll see. All right. Have a good one. Stay safe.
Well,
And as they say, don't let the bed bugs bite.
Thank you for watching Learning Photography with Duck. Brought to you in association with Milford Photo, your local full-service camera store. Located in downtown Milford, Connecticut, Milford Photo offers you a personalized shopping experience. From the latest camera gear to printing and framing services. And, of course, educational workshops to teach you the finer aspects of photography. Don't forget to tell them Duck sent you.